In a recent video, I talked about how you can get the Indian Chief going really quickly. You don't have to wait for the screen to fully boot up before you can start riding. You can save yourself a lot of time. And after reading the comments, I started to wonder if I might have given people the wrong impression. So this video is entitled, "Just because you can doesn't mean you should." So I showed that from being completely off, you can turn your bike on, start the engine, and right away in about 4 seconds. You don't have to wait for the screen to boot up before you can start riding. All we have to do is hit the power button, pull the clutch in, hit the start button, and right away. How many seconds was that? Now, the purpose of that video was because I saw people on YouTube seem to have the impression that you had to wait for that display to start up before you can start riding. And like, I'm not going to lie, it can take 20 seconds or so before it fully boots up and you're ready to start using the screen. You can ride much earlier than that before you can start using the screen. So one comment suggested that you could just turn the engine on and start riding and warm the bike up as you're riding. Now, I always warm my bikes up before I take off, and some bikes take longer than others to warm up. In the case of the Indian Chief, it warms up pretty quickly. And so I went back to the manual just to see, if that's correct, if you can just start riding and as long as you keep the revs low, you can warm the engine up. And in the manual, it says that you need to keep the engine revs below 2,500 RPM. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if you can take off and keep it below 2.5, you might be all right. But then reading further in the manual, it definitely says that you need to warm the engine up and not to put it into gear until about 30 seconds if the bike's warm. So even if the bike's warm, you still need to cycle the oil through the engine and gearbox before you take off. And if the engine's cold or it's really cold conditions, you might need to go like a minute or so before the bike really is ready to put into gear and take off. And this is in the manual, so I always go by the manual on all the bikes I've owned. I just realised that my little flap's up. It's for the battery charger. I don't know, maybe I didn't close it properly when I last charged it, which has been a while. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, so basically, if you have an Indian Chief, definitely start the engine, let it sit there and run for 30 seconds to a minute, depending on if the engine's warm, 30 seconds. So the oil can cycle through the engine and gearbox, and don't put it into gear until it's cycled for about 30 seconds if it's warm, or around a minute, or up to a minute if it's cold. So after that video, I thought I'd better make this video just to clarify that, yes, you still need to wait and warm your motorcycle up, your Indian Chief up, before you start riding. And probably the display taking 20 or 30 seconds really doesn't matter, does it? Because if you've got to wait that sort of time anyway before you can start riding, what's the difference? And it's probably a good way to remind you to not take off before the bike's warmed up, and get into the habit of just walking over, powering on the bike, starting the engine, and then once the screen has cycled through and is ready to go, then you're pretty safe to go. It's not the ideal day for a ride, but I thought I'll get out and get some more time on my bike, which I'm really enjoying. And it's been a while since I've had a bike that I just want to get on and ride, and this Indian Chief is one of those bikes. We're just seeing if I'm going to make it home without getting wet. Yeah, sky's looking pretty nice over this way. Well, not too bad. There's still a lot of rain clouds and what have you. But I've got to head in that direction. And it looks like it might be raining over that way. But anyway, all right, that's it for this video. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. As always, thank you for your continued support. And until next time, bye for now. Oh, and here's a couple of videos you might be interested in. See ya.